Coming up next, another great song mystery. It's a famous song. I think everybody that will watch this has heard it a few times, but nobody really knows who wrote it or what it's specifically about. Today, we got a special guest to help us solve it. Now, this song was either about a hooker or a prisoner. It's centuries old, but it became a #1 hit when the lead singer in today's Hall of Fame band covered it, and he may have invented a whole new genre with it. They were also the first British invasion band to wrestle #1 away from the Beatles, who had dominated the top spot week after week. And in the end, though, the singer didn't really get paid for the song since he wasn't listed as an arranger. There are so many other hilarious stories from this guy. He's a legend, very underrated vocalist. A lot of other classic hits he talks about. The interview's next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you fight authority, and authority always wins, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to click the bell and to click the red button to become a member or to become a subscriber. Also, check us out on Patreon. And the shirt of the day, got Steve Miller Band, baby. Check it out, 80stees.com. You can do it at the link here or the link below. Also, check out our show on Classic Rock U. It's our syndicated radio show every weekend. If you don't have it on your local station, call them up and request it. I'm excited to bring you another episode from our series, Revelations, where featured artists go deep on their greatest songs and their greatest albums. Truly, information you won't find anywhere else, stories. You'll get to know these people as human beings. And today we have a sit down with the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, maybe the most underappreciated vocalist of the 60s, Eric Burdon of the Animals. Talking about many of the band's classic hits, including It's My Life.
It's my life and I do what I want. It's my
Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood.
Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
We Gotta Get Out of This Place.
We gotta get out of this place. If it's a life.
And House of the Rising Sun.
There is a house in New Orleans.
Though through the years, nobody really knows who wrote House of the Rising Sun or what it's about exactly. But there are two existing theories. The song's about can't say that on YouTube, a house of ill repute in New Orleans or about a prison. The House of the Rising Sun was named after its occupant, Madame Marianne Lociel Levant, which means Rising Sun in French. That's one story. It was located in St. Louis Street. It was open for business from 1862, when it was closed due to complaints by neighbors. And then the other theory, to get into more detail, is this about a women's prison in New Orleans called the Orleans Parish Women's Prison, which I guess had an entrance gate decorated with Rising Sun artwork. It was a song that was sung by many African Americans in the late 1800s. Then it was recorded by Texas Alexander in the 1920s.
Just like the rising sun.
And then by Leadbelly. Woody Guthrie and Nina Simone.
Been the ruin of many a poor soul.
There's a house in New Orleans.
And no one can actually claim the rights to the song because nobody knows who wrote it. So Bob Dylan covered it before the Animals.
My mother was a tailor.
But ended up going electric, and he didn't release it as a single. So the Animals released it, and in the process, they helped invent folk rock. Or at least helped put it on the map. And we're going to hear about that next. Folk music historian Alan Lomax recorded a version with a 16-year-old girl named Georgia Turner, who sang it in a first-person point of view, contemplating how the house of ill repute ruined her life.
Never did I have that.
I bring this up because later when the Animals recorded it and took it to #1, they actually changed the lyrics to describe a gambler, since they knew that radio wouldn't play it if they sang the real lyrics. So like I mentioned, Animals organist Alan Price was the only member given credit for arranging the track, meaning he was paid all the royalties for it. So Eric Burdon didn't make anything off it as far as that goes. The record companies told the members there was not enough room to list them all as arrangers. Then later, the Detroit rockers Frigid Pink made their mark with a cover of the song that went to number 4 in the UK and number 7 here in the US. Great version. Coming up next, we're going to try to figure out the mystery behind the song with Eric Burdon, as well as the other great hits from the Animals. Here's the interview. It's My Life, kind of an angry declaration of independence. Recording it, tell me a story behind that. Another one that came out of that same collection of songs, right?
Yeah, they all came out at the same time. I made friends with the guy who penned it. Always comes to all of our shows. At least he did until recently. I haven't seen him in a while. I hope he's in good health. But that just became, it was a natural anthem for me at the age of 18, 19, 20, you know. And again, asthma helped me because I missed going into the military because of, you know, I would never have been drafted because of it. So
it was really such a great song for that time in the 60s of the hippie culture and the things that were going on where you know, the baby boomers were pushing against, you know, racial intolerance and, you know, and kind of the man in Vietnam and saying, it's my life and I'll do what I want, you know. It's almost like what Dylan was saying with the times are changing. You know, don't rip on what you can't understand.
It's my life and I do what I want. It's my
It was definitely inspirational to Bon Jovi, who wrote a very similar song to it.
It's my life, it's now or never.
Billy Joel wrote My Life.
I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life.
it's a direct message to individuals, you know. It's your life, you know. You can do what you want with it, you know. I mean, there's such a thing as karma that you got to deal with, you know. It's your life and you can do what you want, but make sure it's the right thing. Make sure you do the right thing.
It's my life and I do what I want. It's my mind. Baby, do you understand me now?
Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. How did that come about? How did you decide to?
Mickey Most, our producer, was getting singles sent from artists and publishing houses, and amongst the many songs that he presented to us, this one just like, it was Nina Simone. It was like the first time I'd heard Nina, and I was like, wow, this is great.
Baby, you understand me now.
We're never gonna be able to get near where she was coming from, because all white guys speed up. They all play too fast. And I was trying to get the band to like toe the line and, you know, but, you know, I mean, Nina's is like, baby, do you understand me now? You know, and it's like, gum, 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 gum.
Baby, misunderstood.
Fantastic percussion and all that. And I was like, bam, 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 bam. And I was like, oh no.
Baby, sometimes I'm so carefree with a job.
I'm still trying to reach that space with the bands that I have today. But, you know, the audiences have gotten used to our version. I mean, all these early songs we're talking about, they've now become anthems. The great thing is all of the audiences, they know all the lyrics. And I can just have the audience sing for me. Yeah,
Baby.
With the sped up tempo and the starting it off with the electric guitar and the doubled riff with the organ, and just, I love you guys' version.
Love you, oh, baby, don't you know I'm human?
Bruce Springsteen talks about that song inspired the beginning of Badlands, his song Badlands.
Yeah. But look, actually, I don't know if he was just being nice to us or not, but Horace Ott, the guy who wrote it for his wife, and they got Nina to record it, and he comes backstage and he says, but your version is always the one that we refer to. And that's coming from the guy that wrote it, so I mean, I don't know if he was just like making me feel comfortable.
Baby, do you understand me now? If sometimes
You know, you just got that, baby, you know, you just have that, you go to a place with your voice, you know, it's just an amazing.
Yeah, you just walk on stage on the microphone and say that one word, baby, and the place goes nuts. That's really weird, you know?
Rock and roll, right?
there is a house in New Orleans.
So House of the Rising Sun, really the first folk rock hit. #1 in America and the UK. Tell me about the arrangement, because I know that when Bob Dylan said that he first heard it on the radio, he had to pull the car over because he was like, he about jumped out of his seat. He loved it so much. You got it from Johnny Handel. Tell me about that.
I first heard Rising Sun in many of the local folk clubs in Britain. All the guitar players that I knew, they loved to play that opus at the front end. So I'd go to folk clubs and I'd hear guitar players playing that. And they would sing like one verse and that would be it. Or they'd sing 1.5 verses. Or they'd sing maybe get through 2 verses and the rest would be mumble, and then back to the thing again. So it was all mixed up.
There is a house down in New Orleans.
Bob came out with a definitive version with a lot more lyrics in it than I ever knew existed. The Animals back then, we were starting a Chuck Berry tour. And I knew that every one of the British bands would be trying to out-rock Chuck Berry, which, impossible.
You got a new piano go to New Orleans. We're back up in the woods, the movie ever.
I was looking for something to help our program, our little spot before Chuck. That would be different, that would be meaningful, it would be deep, and it would be, okay, but it wouldn't be the Chuck Berry format. Dun, 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 dun. And different movement altogether, you know. And by then, I'd collected the lyrics that I could from Bob and from other folk people that I'd heard sing it. So somewhere we came up with a song that was lasting around 5.5 minutes.
Now the only thing the gambler needs.
I wanted to find something really ferocious for Alan Price to play. And I'd just seen a movie called Walk on the Wild Side, and Jimmy Smith did the title music to it. So I got a copy of the album from the soundtrack, and I said, Alan, this is the attitude that you've got to play in the solo section of this. And so that's where the idea, or the basis of the idea for the solo section. And it worked great, you know, but that put that solo section and all the lyrics that put the song up to way over the time length for a single 45, especially radio play. So when it got to the States, they edited it. They took a slice out of it. And it was hilarious for us to go into a nightclub and see a local band playing the edit. They were playing the solo with the edit in it, you know.
That pulsating organ part is such a huge part. Yeah.
You know. Okay, so now it's a bearable 3.5 to 4 minutes. So everybody told us that it's too long, it's the wrong subject matter, and it's never going to work.
What was your interpretation of the lyrics? What did you think that meant? Because there's so many different theories out there about what the song means. What did you think?
Well, I changed it from female to male. I think that helped it get over with the public easier than accepting a male voice singing, being the ruin of many a poor girl, you know.
And it's been the ruin of many poor boys.
I really don't know why I did that. It just came naturally because I'm the guy and I'm
You're the
singing
guy,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
And God, I know I'm one.
over the years, I took it to mean that in the wildlife, you know, the nightlife, the hanging out, drinking, creeping around brothels and all of that, it can be as damaging enough to the purchaser as the girl or the woman that's the slave to the system. In other words, we're all a slave to that system, and we can equally be damaged by it.
There's a controversy. You know, that's how the British say controversy. Like, who started folk rock? You know, was it Eric Burdon and the Animals with House of the Rising Sun? Because they were doing a Dylan version of a folk song. I don't know. You know, I say the Beatles started folk rock because they were the ones who inspired me to put folk music and rock and roll together. They were already doing it subconsciously. They were playing folk rock, but they didn't know it.
And that was also, as a #1 hit, it was the first British song not connected to the Beatles and the British invasion to go to #1.
Well, yeah, I was reading a book yesterday, and it claims that Pink Floyd, I think it was, knocked the Beatles off the top of the charts, but it was the Animals. The Beatles had, something like 44 successive singles that went straight to #1, and we were like, come on, move over, give somebody else a chance. And we did it with Rising Sun.
You did.
And God, I know I'm one. Now, my girl, you're so young and pretty.
We were writing a song for the Righteous Brothers, and
you know,
I think you came up with the melodic idea.
the thing that came up first was that riff.
This one written by Man and Wheel, who wrote You've Lost That Loving Feeling, and we hope with your help it made #2 in the chart. It's called We Gotta Get Out of This Room.
They also changed the lyric,
They did.
Yeah.
you know, and we thought we had a pretty good lyric.
I was sitting in the Beverly Hills doctor's office one day. There was this lady sitting next to me, and I think she was pregnant, you know, and she was in the office to get checked up. You know. She turned around to me and she said, "You're Eric Burdon, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "You know, my husband and I, we hated what you did with our song." I said, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry." And she got up and she walked towards because they called her into the office. And she waddled across the office and she turned around and she said, "But we got used to it." I said, "Yeah, I'll bet you did." So,
Cynthia Weil, right?
Yeah, it's Cynthia. Yeah.
But they were right. And they weren't right not to call us and say, "Look, we're going to change it. Can you,
Or can you do this with us?
Right.
Or
Yes.
can you, I'm never adverse to changing something and making it better or making it work for the artist that's singing it.
It was about getting out of being trapped in a place that is foreign to you.
They no one understood you."
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm writing at the moment about my youth in my hometown. And it was pretty bad environment, to say the least. I mean, it was, you know. But as a kid, you don't care. You don't see it as a kid. You go back and visit it, and you'll see it and feel it, you know.
First time I heard that song, 'cause that was the first Animal song I ever heard.
Mm.
I always say that first time I heard rock and roll, I felt like I was busting out of prison. I mean, literally, it felt like my mind was being freed. That's how and I only feel that with certain songs, Born to Run, Springsteen. I felt that with We Gotta Get Out of This Place. When I heard the dun, 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 you know, the bass part.
Yeah, it's a
and
great
then you
riff.
come in with the dirty old part of the, I mean, it spoke to me in a way that it made sense.
And for me, it was the Animals. For some, they were just another one of the really good beat groups that came out of the 60s. But to me, the Animals were a revelation. They were the first records with full-blown class consciousness that I'd ever heard. We Gotta Get Out of This Place. It had that great bass riff, you know, it had that and that was just the clock, man, the clock marking time, you know. In this dirty old part of the city.
As the boss says, in the darkness, on the edge of town, you know. That's where it begins.
Oh, you know it, baby. Hey, leave us a comment about the Animals and Eric Burdon. We Got to Get Out of This Place, House of the Rising Sun, It's My Life. So many great hits. One of the most underrated vocalists ever. What do you think? What are your memories of these songs? And what do you think about Eric Burdon as a singer? I just thought so soulful. And the reason that the bands like Bruce Springsteen and John Mellencamp was hugely inspired. So many great rockers. I know Bob Seger, that was a huge influence for him as well. So let's have a great celebration about Eric Burdon. And if you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. Love to have you as part of our community. Make sure to listen to Classic Rock U and get your shirt below. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.